Welcome back, Slot Car family, to video number 3 in this series about installing a motor, replacing the motor in this AGM 143 slot car. And in the previous 2 videos, we removed the motor and we kind of stuck the capacitor into its spot on the new motor. We're getting ready to start soldering things up and replacing them here. We've got a spot right here that we've scraped and pre-tinned. We're going to push this wire down on here and solder this up. I'm hoping this thing will hold it. Well, that could have been better if it would have held better, but I think it did the job. Really so. So now we're ready to solder the rest of this stuff up, and I'm going to switch soldering irons here to a smaller one simply because I was using too big of a one for most of this job so far. Give me just a second. I already got it heated up off camera, but it's not pre-tinned, so we're going to have to do that too. You folks that don't know much about soldering, you want to make sure that your soldering iron is always nice and bright with solder when you're working with it. This one here still has too big of a tip, but I can't find anything around the house right now that's any better, so we're going to go with this one. Alright, we've got our motor, we've got our chassis, we've got our wires. Now if you remember, I marked this with a black spot up here to remind me that this is where the black wire goes. So we're going to make sure to solder the black wire to the top. Now I'm going to, since I had stuck that wire through, let me get back over here where you can see it better. Since I had already stuck that wire through the hole here, I'm just going to kind of pre-tin that area so I've got a little solder spot to stick to. Sorry folks, I'm going to kind of work around the camera so it's a little bit awkward here. And alright, so we bring the black wire over. And you know something? Before I do this, I'm going to clean this chassis out. This is another good thing to remind you about. This car's been ran quite a bit, and the inside, you probably can't see it. Maybe you can see it more on this white body, but it's all full of tire dust. I'm going to brush this off real quick before we go to the next step. Not going to show that on camera because I'm just using an old paintbrush and brushing out the gunk. Oh boy, I can tell this is going to take another video or 2 even, because there's still a couple little things that are going on here that you need to know about. Alright, I've got most of the dust and stuff blown out now, so that should be good enough anyway. I don't want to keep you guys waiting for that. So we're back to our black wire, and remember, as I said, since these wires are soldered onto this little circuit board right here, you got to be pretty gentle with them, because if you yank them off of there, you've got a tiny little spot to resolder them to. It's kind of a pain in the neck. But over here, we've pre-tinned this spot, so it should be pretty easy to solder this wire on. And that's what we're going to do now. It helps if you're a little bit more steady-handed than I was, but I think that's going to be okay. And we'll flip it over, put the red wire on it. Once again, I'm going to pre-tin that joint with my soldering iron. Give it a little glob of solder right there so it's got something to solder to when I bring my wire over. There we go. Here comes the red wire. And boom, we're soldered back up. Now, as you remember from the very first removal video, my magnet popped out, and I had forgotten about that when I started doing this video, that I was going to have to account for that. So I'm not going to show on camera the re-gluing of the magnet. That seems kind of stupid. I'm gonna have to stop and clean this up enough that I can make some glue stick. So we're gonna stop the video here now and come back with part 4 after I've glued this magnet in here, and I'm going to show you how to do this reinstallation and the down and dirty pinion method, because I don't use a pinion puller. We're just going to pull it by hand. Alright, well, hope you guys are getting something out of this series, and I'm sorry it's taken so many of them, but well, for one thing, I guess these videos end up being awful long if I don't stop them in between. So we're coming back with part 4 with the rest of the reinstallation. Thanks for watching.